Urban Strengthening System Chapter 1, System Awakening, Counterattack at the Rear of the Crane. For some reason, a large number of users suddenly cannot open the web page to visit this site today. Please book friends to remember the domain name www.mtlnovel.com, the first letter of literature plus org.com, mtlnovel.com, to find the way home. Jitsai Middle School, Anming County, Bailu City, Grade 1, 18. Above the rostrum, a middle-aged female teacher wearing black-framed eyes was chanting English. The English letters in the sky, like a lullaby, made the students drowsy. At a table in the last row, a boy with short, broken hair was lying on the table and sleeping. His name is Yi Hong and he is 16 years old this year. Yi Hong only felt that he had a long dream. In my dream, I was admitted to the best middle school in the county, instead of buying this private school Jitsai Middle School at a high price. In my dreams, my parents praised myself so much that I became the child of someone else's house, in my neighbor's mouth. In my dream, my classmates are at the same table, and it is no longer so cold, but smiles like flowers. In the dream. Suddenly, there was a rigorous electronic synthesis sound, which burst into Yi Hong's mind. Found the target, in the bound host, the God-level enhanced system was successfully bound. Who is talking? What is the level reinforcement system? The English teacher on the stage frowned, looking at the sleeping guy in the back row, angrily. This boy named Yi Hong has one class in the entrance test. The class is either reading novels or sleeping, and she is not her teacher at all. The most annoying thing is that the class teacher also arranged his beautiful daughter and this poor student to be at the same table. As the name implies, it is students one by one. The daughter has complained with herself many times, saying that Yi Hong has been staring at her all day, making her unable to concentrate on studying. Thinking of this, the English teacher couldn't help but stop the lecture, and the chalk in his hand flew to Yaong. Unbiased, just hit Yi Hong's head. The chalk broke apart, leaving a few white marks on Yi Hong. The students in the class were taken aback by the shock, and looked in the direction of Yi Hong. Who hit me? Yi Hong took pain and woke up directly from the dream, and the whole person stood up. Pooh! There was a burst of laughter from the students around. Especially at the same table of Yi Hong, Zhang Xuewei, who was named Ban Hua, the beautiful melon seed face is full of contempt, and I wish to stay away from him. Yi Hong was completely awake. Yes, there is no system in the world, it's just a dream. Today is the second week of my high school life and I am now taking English classes. Yi Hong raised his head and looked at the podium, with a hint of apprehension on his ordinary face. The gloomy obeisant on the stage was Yi Hong's English teacher. Although he was very old, he made everyone shamelessly call her Miss Zhang. Miss Zhang knocked on the blackboard and sneered, "Student Yi, do you sleep soundly?" This translation question is for a look, if you can't do it, you will be fined 100 times. Yi Hong scolded his mother, this menopausal aunt must have deliberately embarrassed herself. Even if he learns the scum again, he knows that the entire sentence translation is the content of the next chapter, which is not something that they can do with the high school students who have not entered the school for a long time. But Yi Hong couldn't help it. He was arrested and slapped first. If the attitude is bad, the parents will be called. In desperation, Yi Hong had to daringly walk to the blackboard. A whisper came from the class below. I can't even understand this question. How could this crane tail be done? Du deserves, who made him toad want to eat swan meat without looking at his respect, he was so embarrassed to spend the same table with our class. Almost everyone is waiting for Yaong to leave the rice cake. Yi Hong looked at the general English question in front of him and gritted his teeth. He was preparing to serve Ruan and Miss Zhang to say he would not do it. But at that moment, the voice in my dream sounded again in my mind, ding. Check English words, English ability +1, current progress, 110, level, entry level. Yi Hong's eyes widened in an instant. He obviously never recite the word, but the meaning of the word appeared clearly in his mind. This feeling is like installing an English-Chinese dictionary in my mind. What's wrong with classmate Yi at night? Miss folded her hands around her chest, disdainful, if you can't do it, hurry up and copy it 100 times, don't waste your classmates' time. Know that you waste 1 minute is equivalent to wasting 50 minutes of everyone in the class. It's annoying. Yi Hong was nagging for a while, and could not help but roar. You dare to hit the teacher. Miss almost lifted her glasses up. Okay. I want to see how you made this question. The people in the class were frightened by Yi Hong's voice, and the voice of whispering was turned into a loud discussion. Yi Hong is mad. His attitude is so arrogant. The anxiety is bad, see how he ends later. Everyone's eyes focused on Yi Hong. Yi Hong was not nervous, and looked at the next word. As expected, the voice rang again, ding. Check English words, English ability +1. Yi Hong did the same, and his eyes swept through a whole series of sentences. Ding. English ability +1. Ding. English ability +1. Ding. Current progress, 11100, English ability improved to proficient level. At this moment, Yi Hong seemed to enter another world. Just like Daigo initiation, there is a warm current rushing to the sky cover. Those tough English words instantly became easy to understand. The translated answers for the entire string of sentences are fully visible in my mind. It wasn't until this moment that Yi Hong was convinced that the system that once appeared in the novel actually came to him one day. Yi Hong smiled confidently, picked up chalk, and quickly wrote on the blackboard. No more than 10 seconds, Yi Hong has already translated the sentence. How, why so fast? It's impossible. He must be scribbling. The students still don't believe in Yi Hong's ability. Yi Hong threw the chalk into the chalk box casually, patted the dust on his hand, looked at Miss Zhang, who was stuck in the side, and said lightly, Miss Zhang, although this problem is too simple for me, I still one thing to say, please don't trouble yourself with this kind of problem in the future. Just a word on the blackboard, this interesting obviously needs to be replaced with the past participle interested to be more accurate. Miss Zhang seems to have just recovered, glanced at the standard answer to this question in the textbook, but found that Yi Hong's answer is more perfect than the standard answer. What's more exaggerated is that Yi Hong can point out the loopholes in this sentence at a glance. You know, the editor-in-chief of compiling textbooks is the legendary professor of Jiangda University. Yi Hong, this is no longer an ordinary talent, but an English genius. Miss suddenly realized in her heart, no wonder people simply disdain to listen to their own class, with this strength, they can simply go to the college entrance examination. She blushed and shyly said, your classmates, you did everything right. Come back to your seat, let's continue the class. Hiss. Everyone in class 18 took a breath in shock. How is this possible? The tail of the crane is completely right. Yi Hong turned smartly and walked to the seat. Looking at the complex eyes of everyone, Yi Hong couldn't help feeling so sad. Before going to the podium, Yi Hong felt that he and they were not in the same world. Because he is just a scum. After coming down the podium, Yi Hong still felt that he and they were not in the same world. Because they have all turned into scum in their own eyes. After returning to the seat, Yi Hong found that Zhang Xuewei at the same table secretly handed a note. It reads, how? Yaong turned his head, but found that Zhang Xuewei's face was red, and the body unconsciously moved closer to Yaong. The boys who saw this scene around them all had flames of jealousy in their eyes. Yi Hong sneered inside. Yesterday, you ignored the young man. Today, the young man let you try what Gao Pan cannot afford. If you like to dominate the entire field of urban strengthening system, please collect www.ntlnovel.com, the fastest update of literature in the urban strengthening system. Urban Strengthening System Chapter 2, Skills Strengthened and Experience Soared. For some reason, a large number of users suddenly cannot open the web page to visit this site today. Please book friends to remember the domain name www.ntlnovel.com, the first letter of literature plus org.com, ntlnovel.com, to find the way home. Yi Hong pretended to ignore the note and called in his mind, system. I remember in those novels, the system can communicate, even tune in. But the system did not respond at all. It seems to be an autistic system and I don't like to communicate with people. Yi Hong had no choice but to experiment with other functions of the system. He suddenly pulled a math textbook out of the drawer. The eyes of the classmates who saw this scene all around were straight, lamenting that the genius really was different from everyone's ideas, even reading mathematics books in English class. Ding! Go through high school math textbooks, Math +1, Current Progress 110, Current Level, Entry Level. Yaong took out the textbooks of other subjects one after another, and as expected, there will be a prompt every time you read the system. After a trip, all subjects have the same proficiency as English, and he has all been promoted to the proficient level. He is confident that as long as he gives himself a night time, he will be able to learn the entire high school curriculum. Yi Hong's mouth twitched slightly, and he was very excited. With this system, his life will no longer be ordinary. During this process, Zhang Xue's eyes still kept looking here, and the class could not listen. But Yi Hong still ignored her, leaving her quite frustrated. She even looked in the mirror and began to doubt her charm. After school in the afternoon, Yi Hong packed all the textbooks into his school bag, and he planned to go home with his bulging school bag on his back. Private secondary schools are good at this point, so they don't have to study at night. He just carried his school bag, but found that Zhang Xue got up with him, lowered his head, his teeth were biting his lower lip tightly, his hands were stirring nervously on the corner of his clothes. Yi Hong 1 m 5, Zhang Xue 1 m 6'2", from this angle just can see Zhang Xue's snow-white neck, and that looming girlish style. Yi Hong shook his heart, but his face remained indifferent. Classmate Zhang, what's the matter? If not, I'm leaving. Zhang Xue raised his head and Xue Lingling's big eyes looked at Yi Hong. Yi classmate, I remember we seem to be going along. Do you want to go back together? I just have some questions to ask Yi classmate. Yi Hong secretly sighed. He said this to Zhang Xue a few days ago, but what he got was just full of eyes. Now it's the other way around, it's Zhang Xue's turn to beg him. It's ironic. But he did not refuse Zhang Xue, but nodded lightly. Zhang Xue immediately patted his palm happily, carrying his school bag and happily walking next to Yaong. At the entrance of Jitsai Middle School, Miss Zhang Jingli stood beside the gate. She would go home with her daughter Zhang Xue every day. Seeing the figure of Zhang Xue in the distance, Miss Zhang immediately waved. But when she saw a boy next to Zhang Xue, her face suddenly gloomy. The most unacceptable thing for her is Zhang Xue's early love, because she is worried that this will affect Zhang Xue's learning. But when the two approached and saw that the boy was Yi Hong, Miss Zhang's face became extremely unnatural again. Obviously, she had not come out of the shadows in the class. Mom, I will walk with classmate Yi later, and I just have a few questions to ask him. Zhang Xue smiled and Yi Hong smiled aside. It turns out that it was like that, with night classmates, then I was relieved. Remember to go home early. Relax, Mom. Looking at the back of the two people, Miss Zhang suddenly reacted. The three of them walked together. Can't you also ask questions? Even though she smiled and shook her head, the girl still complained to her at home yesterday, but now her attitude has changed 180 degrees. It's really a big girl. Along the way, Zhang Xue kept asking Yi Hong to learn the secret that suddenly became so powerful. However, Yi Hong always talked about him, not answering her directly. This performance not only made Zhang Xue angry, but made Yi Hong more mysterious in her mind. Ye classmates, can I call you Ahong directly? It is always too much for the classmates of Yi classmates, we are at the same table. Of course, I will call you Xue directly. Xue, the rose in the snow, matches your temperament very well. Hearing such blatant words, Zhang Xue's entire face suddenly turned red with shame, and said with a mosquito, I hate, what kind of temperament do people have? Ding! Let the girl's heart bloom with words, +1 the girl's skills, current progress, 110, current level, entry level. I wipe, can this feature be strengthened? This system is good enough. Although Zhang Xue still wanted to stay with Yaong for a while, the two had already reached her door and there was no reason to continue to haunt Yaong. Zhang Xue was quite lost and said goodbye to Yaong, but when she thought of seeing Yaong the next day, she smiled again. In a food street in Dongqing district of Anming County, there is a not-so-obsessed snack bar called Night Food Snacks. The facade of the snack bar is not large, and the decoration is relatively old. At this point, although it was time to eat, there were few guests in the shop. Before Yaong came to Yeshur Snacks, he shouted in his heart, "I have a system, young man. From today, no one can yell at me. Stinky boy. What are you doing there? Hurry up and help." A soprano-like shells exploded in Yihong's ears. Yihong suddenly lacked momentum, and dragged his head into the store. "Mom, there are so few customers. Where else do I need help?" That's right, Yaong is the Xiaodong family of this night food snack bar. This snack bar was passed down from Yehong's grandfather and is now run by Yehong's parents. But the two of them obviously have no talent for business, and the business of this snack bar is not as good as one day. In order to let Yihong enter the legendary aristocratic school Jitsai Middle School, the couple even gritted their teeth and took out most of their life savings. Yihong silently vowed, "I used to be incapable, but now that I have a system, I must help my family change the status quo. No matter how many guests you have to learn something. In the future, this store will be handed over to you. Don't be as useless as your father." A middle-aged woman wearing a scarf walked out of the back kitchen, while navigating a plate of beef noodles in front of a guest while nagging at Yaong. The woman's figure was fat, and her face was well-maintained, white and tender, completely unlike the mother of a 16-year-old boy. The woman is Yihong's mother and Xiaoying. At this time, the kitchen chef complained, "Where is Lao Tzu useless? If you're fighting for something, the old lady will have time to lose weight." And Xiaoying hit back with no mercy. Yihong shook his head with a headache. The old man and his wife were not happy to go back and forth a few times a day. He dropped the school bag and slipped into the back kitchen. In the back kitchen, a sturdy middle-aged man, wearing a chef hat, was burying his head in dough. From his facial features, it can be seen vaguely like Yihong. This middle-aged man was naturally Yihong's father, Yishao, and the neighborhood gave him a nickname, Yishao. Yishao didn't look back, and threw a piece of raw beef to Yihong. "Take it to practice the knife man." Over the years, his parents have gradually cultivated Yihong's cooking skills and business skills, and apparently also think that he is not the material for studying. Yihong pouted, but after thinking about it, he still didn't tell them what happened today. He had to wait for the test results that day, and used the report card to tell Lao about his changes. "Wash your hands, wash your meat, take the knife, all in one go." It's just that the moment the beef was cut, the system's voice came again, ding. Feeling the change of ingredients, cooking ability +1, current progress, 110, current level, entry level. Okay. Yihong's eyes lit up, and the speed of the knife could not help but quickly. Ding. Cooking ability +1, +1, +1. Ding. The current progress is 11,100. And the cooking ability is upgraded to the mastery level. It was that feeling again, and suddenly there seemed to be a lot of cooking knowledge in my mind. After exploring this period of time, Yihong roughly knew the hierarchy of the system. Experience points between 1 to 10 points are entry level. Experience points between 11 to 100 points are proficient. I just don't know what level it is after 100 points. Yihong, who is proficient in class cooking, cuts beef more easily. Tuck 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 tuck. The sound of crisp meat cutting intensively rang in the kitchen, and Yi Shao, who was bowing her head in noodles, couldn't help but stunned. When can this kid cut so fast? Yi Shao turned her head and opened her mouth in surprise. If you like to dominate the entire field of urban strengthening system, please collect www.ntlnovel.com, the fastest update of literature in the urban strengthening system. Urban Strengthening System Chapter 3, Boss, I Need Another Bowl. For some reason, a large number of users suddenly cannot open the web page to visit this site today. Please book friends to remember the domain name www.ntlnovel.com, the first letter of literature plus org.com, ntlnovel.com, to find the way home. I saw slices of cut beef lying on the cutting board. Beef is uniform in size and clear in texture, as if the force used in each piece is exactly the same. Yi Shao asked himself, he couldn't cut it so beautifully if he wanted to cut it. Ahong, this is what you cut. Yi Xiao threw the dough in her hands, threw it in front of the chopping board, picked up the beef slices and looked carefully, like a pilgrimage, for fear of ruining the art in her hand. Nonsense. Yi Hongdan decided to wipe the kitchen knife and put it back on the shelf. Good boy. Yi Xiao couldn't help but laugh, and slammed Yi Hong's shoulder. When did you secretly practice the knife work so well? This night snack is finally succeeded. Yi Hong rubbed his shoulders, with a dissatisfied expression. Don't shoot me old, your bones will almost be shot by you. This dad is always light and heavy. Ding. The shoulder muscles have been hit by foreigners, and their resistance to combat is +1. Current progress, 110, current level, entry level. Huh. Is he okay? Daddy, why don't you beat me twice? Don't be so stinky, just get the beef off the pot and don't let the guests wait too long. Yi Xiao continued to turn around and face, humming xiaozuer in her mouth, apparently seeing Yi Hong have made progress, and she was in a good mood. Yi Hong shook his head and threw the beef into the pot. Next is the unchanging cooking process of beef noodles. This cooking method is a secret recipe passed down from Yi Hong's grandfather. It has not changed for decades. But just when Yi Hong was at one step, his hand suddenly stopped in midair. There was a weird feeling in his brain, and there seemed to be a voice always telling him, "This is wrong, there are other ways to make this bowl of beef noodles even more delicious." Yi Hong understands that this may be that his mastery cooking skills are beginning to work. He dropped the seasoning in his hand and changed it to another ingredient. Next, this feeling appeared again and again. Yi Hong kept changing the order, and the entire cooking process had been changed beyond recognition. And this scene happened to be hit by An Xiaoying, who just stepped into the back kitchen. Stinky boy, are you crazy? How many times have you been taught, how can you add water first? The noodles made in this way are not right. Yi Xiao was also attracted, and the two sighed at the bowl of beef noodles just out of the pan. Would you like to redo it? At this moment, there was a rush from outside diners. Boss, is my beef noodles okay? I'm starving to death. If I don't get on, I will leave. Come on now. An Xiaoying responded with a smile and turned his head to stare at Yaong with fierceness. If the diners are scared away by this bowl of noodles, you will definitely open your kid's ass. Elder Yaong was saying, Anla, make sure he eats and wants to eat, hee. An Xiaoying didn't have time to take care of him and hurried out the front hall with beef noodles. Yi Xiao didn't have the interest of making a face, and secretly observed the reaction outside through the gap of the door curtain. Guest, your face is ready, please use it slowly. The diners who ordered beef noodles had a bald head, and a large gold chain hung on their chests. An Xiaoying placed the bowl of beef noodles in front of this diner and wiped the other table aside. While wiping, he glanced at the diner's reaction with anxiety, ready to prepare for the diner's dissatisfaction, and stepped forward to apologize. It's really slow. I'm starving to death. I wouldn't come to this kind of shop if I just passed by. The bald diner mumbled a few words, broke away the disposable chopsticks, picked up a bunch of noodles, snipped a few times, and sent it to his mouth. Well. The diners suddenly stunned with wide eyes, and their movement stopped. Bad. On the side, An Xiaoying immediately rushed to the diners, nodded, and apologized. I'm really sorry, we made some small mistakes when we did it. If you don't mind, we will immediately replace you with a new one. The diner glanced up at An Xiaoying staring blankly. Boss, what are you doing? After that, the bowl of beef noodles was sent to the mouth like crazy. Swimming. Soon, a bowl of noodles came to an end. After the noodles were eaten, the diners did not forget to solve the remaining soup together. He reluctantly put down the empty bowl, licked his lips, and stunned An Xiaoying said, Boss, I need another bowl. You said that this noodle is so delicious, let me wait for a long time, I will. Oh, by the way, help me pack 3 servings, no, 6 servings, such delicious noodles, I will bring them back to try them for the brothers. He scratched his head and said, I've seen a ghost. There is such a delicious beef noodle in this world. I haven't found your restaurant before. An Xiaoying didn't know how he returned to the kitchen. She was holding the bowl stunned, still immersed in the exaggerated reaction of the diner. This bowl of beef noodles, which is not according to common sense, has received such praise. Isn't this diner the taste bud broken? Yi Zhao's expression was as wonderful as that of An Xiaoying. The two of them did not speak, and looked at Yaong directly. Yi Hong shrugged. I said he had eaten and wanted to eat again, do you believe it? How did you guys do it? Yi Xiao looked at Yi Hong with the look of the monster. And An Xiaoying is more direct, are you really my stupid son? Go, do you guys say your son that way? Yaong let them give up their positions and started cooking the next bowl of beef noodles. With the first bowl of experience, Yi Hong seemed more handy. Ding! Cooking ability +1. Accompanied by a pleasing system prompt, Yi Hong's hands seemed to become magic, and he quickly made the 7 bowls of noodles that the diners requested. During this process, Yi Xiao and An Xiaoying all watched without blinking their eyes. They found that Yaong didn't change the raw materials at all, but only changed the order of several ingredients and seasonings, but they could turn the decay into a magic, turning a bowl of beef noodles into another realm. Could it be that his son really has the talent to be a chef? Son, I don't think you're going to take a college exam anymore. I'll simply send you to the new Southern Culinary School to learn cooking. Yi Hong directly admired the second old man's white eye. Don't make trouble, your son will be the one to do big things in the future. That night, Yi Xiao and An Xiaoying spent the whole night studying beef noodles made by Yi Hong. The two also tried to cook beef noodles according to Ye Hong's method, but there was no way to make it as delicious as Ye Hong's. After trying again and again, he ran out of the soy sauce that was not much left. Go, buy some soy sauce and come back. Faced with these two superb parents, Yi Hong obediently admits his fate. He left the night snack bar and planned to go to the supermarket next door to buy soy sauce. There is a shortcut to the supermarket, only to cross a dark alley. In this alley, there are often a few gangsters doing nothing, so Yi Hong usually doesn't go here. But now he is in a system, and the guts are suddenly fattened. Today, he intends to break into the Longtan Tiger Cave. The street lights in the alley have been in disrepair for many years and are not useful. The whole alley is very dim. Only halfway through, Yi Hong heard an anxious female voice in front of him, help. If you like to dominate the entire field of urban strengthening system, please collect www.ntlnovel.com, the fastest update of literature in the urban strengthening system. Urban Strengthening System Chapter 4, Shitzi can also save the hero. For some reason, a large number of users suddenly cannot open the web page to visit this site today. Please book friends to remember the domain name www.mtlnovel.com, the first letter of literature plus org.com, mtlnovel.com, to find the way home. Could it be that the hero who encountered dog blood saved the bridge? Yi Hong burst into blood, and trod into the alley. It didn't take long for me to see 3 young men who dyed their hair colorfully and only had a black vest on their upper body, encircling a young girl in the corner. The girl was about the same age as Yi Hong, with a beautiful face, fair skin, and a white school uniform set against her innocence. The face value was almost the same as that of Zhang Xuewei. At this time, she was terrified, and she kept calling for help, but her voice was getting hoarse and desperate. Today's part-time clothing store big sale, the boss opened 3 times the salary, otherwise I wouldn't be home so late. It's impossible for me to be innocent of Li Muya, today I will be, woo, no. Who will save me? Li Muya looked pale, like a frightened bunny, pitiful. Hey, little beauty, don't get me wrong. Brother wants to invite you to drink 2 glasses of wine together. That's right, we are all honest and good people. Hey. The 3 little all smiled, and the desire in their eyes seemed to swallow Li Muya. Where did Li Muya believe them? She still kept calling for help. Cough. A clear cough sounded suddenly in the alley. The 3 bullies were taken aback, and turned around quickly. But when they saw that the visitor was just a thin student, the 3 of them suddenly settled in their hearts and showed a playful smile. Fucky baby boy, don't do homework at home, want to come and play heroes to save the beauty with the uncles? Haha, don't look at whether your body is fully developed. The 3 little laughed wantonly, and completely ignored Yi Hong's eyes. The fire of hope that just ignited in Li Muya's eyes also extinguished in an instant, and his face was ashes. It seems that I can't escape a few claws today. Yi Hong, who has a systematic system, is very calm. I am really saved today for this man. I advise you to get out. Yoa. This kid is so young, he is quite fat. The three little were stunned, and then showed fierce eyes. Very good, then let the brothers teach you the price of nosy business. As the three of them drew behind them, they saw a few flashes of cold light, and 3 shining fruit knives appeared in their hands. I wiped it out, and Yi Hong immediately had an impulse to curse his mother. He also wanted to use the system to work around to see if he could awaken other abilities. Where do you know that these guys are still carrying weapons? This time pretending to be a big hit. Yaong couldn't help but step back, away from a few people. Now. Late. Go, grab this kid. The three of them accelerated in an instant and rushed towards Yehong's place. The fruit knife in their hands shone coldly, which was shocking. Yaong was anxious and panicked for items that could defend her enemies. There were only scattered stones on the ground around me, and some bottles, cans, and other garbage that were discarded by people. No matter what things are used. Yi Hong picked up a stone under his foot and threw it towards the 3 evil men with all his strength. Ding! Throwing ability +1, current progress, 110, current level, entry level. Shi Zi passed through the gap of the 3 people's bodies, and their offense was not affected at all. But Yi Hong's face gradually relaxed, and a strange arc evoked in the corner of his mouth. There is a play. If you like to dominate the entire field of urban strengthening system, please collect www.ntlnovel.com, the fastest update of literature in the urban strengthening system. Urban Strengthening System Chapter 5, Success. For some reason, a large number of users suddenly cannot open the web page to visit this site today. Please book friends to remember the domain name www.ntlnovel.com, the first letter of literature plus org.com, ntlnovel.com, to find the way home. Eat me another flying stone. Yaong adjusted his figure, pulled away, and thrown another stone in his hand. Ding! Throwing ability +1, current progress 210. In this way, Yi Hong was in this alley, while circling with the 3 gangsters, he kept hitting the small stones in his hand. Boo boo dash. At first, Shitzi was flying around, and accidentally hit a few small gangsters. It was not painful, but more aroused their ferocity. But when the 11th stone was thrown, everything changed. Ding! Throwing ability +1, current progress, 11,100, current level, mastery level. A familiar feeling came again from my mind, and intuitively told Yaong that the next shot would definitely hit the target with precision. The heart moves freely, holding the stone's wrist and throwing it hard, just like throwing a dart. Call out. This time the stone was obviously more than doubled in speed, rubbing against the air with a loud noise, and slammed into one of the mixed eyes. Ding! Hit the point, throw ability +2, current progress 13,100. What? The screams of the screaming lungs resounded through most of the alleys, and the scumbag sat on the ground, covering his right eye with a hand that couldn't stop bleeding. Apparently Yi Hong's enhanced blow struck his eyeball with precision. My eyes. Catch him. Lao Tzu will dig out his eyes. The other 2 were also frightened, and 3 of them were beaten and 1 was counter-killed. Will they play? Immediately using the power of breastfeeding, she rushed towards Yaong. But Yaong is no longer Yaong just now, and there is no need to run away. He smiled confidently, and 2 stones flung out like lightning. Boo bao, twice, 2 tragic screams in the alley again. The remaining 2 twisted their faces, clutching their crotches and lying prone on the ground. Yi Hong's 2 stones are extremely tricky, but they are aimed at them. Ding! Hit the key of the key, throwing ability +5, current progress, 18,100. Other parts have been hit, and may be able to fight against Yi Hong. But the most important part of the man was hit, and this kind of pain is unbearable to anyone. In less than 2 minutes, all 3 gangsters lost their fighting power and wailed on the ground. Li Muya in the corner was already stupid, and her mouth opened into a lovely O shape. She was completely attracted by Yi Hong's posture, and had forgotten about the escape. What happened? This thin and weak young man, just throw a few stones to get rid of these three bad guys. The panic is gone, and the rest is just peace of mind. Even if there are 10 or 8 other bastards, it is not a problem to have this young boy here. From a distance, the young man's body seemed to radiate some kind of light, which made Li Muya's eyes shine. On the other side, Yi Hong was also immersed in excitement. He was not brave since he was young, and he did not dare to say anything when he was bullied. Any grievances are swallowed from the bottom of his heart. This is Yi Hong's first attempt to teach others. This sense of accomplishment and satisfaction is simply amazing. Ding! Save the beauty through heroes, so that the girl's favorability with you is improved. The skill of the girl is +5, the current progress is 610. Huh! This sound instantly awakened Yi Hong in excitement. He came in front of the unknown girl, a flash of surprise in his eyes. If you like to dominate the entire field of urban strengthening system, please collect www.mtlnovel.com, the fastest update of literature in the urban strengthening system. Urban Strengthening System Chapter 6, I will definitely find him. For some reason, a large number of users suddenly cannot open the web page to visit this site today. Please book friends to remember the domain name www.mtlnovel.com, the first letter of literature plus org.com, mtlnovel.com, to find the way home. Just too far away, not too clear. Upon closer inspection, it was found that the girl was not only white and beautiful, but also quite pure in temperament. Damn it, this pure little flower was almost spoiled by 3 bastards. Li Muya was also observing Yi Hong. She found that although the teenager's face was ordinary, but his eyes were extremely deep, just like the universe full of stars, it made people fall into it unconsciously. Are you all right? Yi Hong reached out to Li Muya on the ground. It's okay, thank you so much. Li Muya recovered, and whispered. She rushed towards Yi Hong's hand. Until now, she had fully reacted, feeling terrified. My family is poor, so I go to a clothing store to work part-time after school. It just happened that there was an event in the clothing store today, so it was late to go home. In order to rush home early, she chose this rarely taken route, but did not expect bad luck and encountered the 3 little bastards. If Yi Hong was not passing by tonight, she could not imagine her ending. As soon as the 2 hands touched, they shivered. This is the first time in his life that Li Muya has held the hand of a boy of the opposite except his father. Yi Hong felt that Li Muya's little hands were so tender, just like holding an egg with a peeled shell. It felt very good. After getting up, Li Muya blushed and pulled her small hand out of Yi Hong's hand, making Yi Hong's heart feel a faint sense of loss. How do they? Li Muya nudged the hair in the sideburns and looked at the 3 little who were still screaming on the ground, pretending to calm down. I have a way to make them remember. Yi Hong's mouth twitched. Leave it to me. Yi Hong grabbed a handful of stones, and Xian Ting walked towards the 3. Looking at the stone in Yi Hong's hands, the 3 of them shouted as if they saw the devil, "You, don't come over. Otherwise we will call the police. I have a big wipe." Lord, I didn't call the police, it was kindness to you. Do you still want to complain to a wicked person? Yi Hong looked indifferent, crouching in front of the trembling 3, the stone in his hand seemed to be ready to shoot at any time. Listen to you 3 dross, if I let you see you appear here again, the consequence is this. Saying Yi Hong's expression was cold, a stone in his hand rose directly towards the grey wall. Do. Dense stones are embedded on the wall, arranging a regular, dead, word, hiss. Seeing this fabulous scene, the 3 of them took a breath and cried at the foot of Yaong, "We promise we won't appear here. Also, you are not allowed to trouble this girl." Yi Hong added to Li Muya. Yes. We promise. Come on. The 3 of them got up in a hurry, helped each other, and crawled out of the alley. Quietness was restored in the alley. Li Muya gritted her teeth, just about to say something, but Yi Hong changed his face and looked at his watch. Oops. The supermarket is closing. Who will see you next time? He was already trotting, leaving from the alley. Hey! Li Muya stomped angrily. you haven't told your name. But she suddenly remembered that the school uniform on Yi Hong was quite familiar. It turns out he was also at Jitsai Middle School. I will definitely find him. Li Muya's eyes were firm, and she recalled the scenes before. She couldn't help but smile like a blooming white orchid. If you like to dominate the entire field of urban strengthening system, please collect www.ntlnovel.com, the fastest update of literature in the urban strengthening system. Urban Strengthening System Chapter 7, Future Plans. For some reason, a large number of users suddenly cannot open the web page to visit this site today. Please book friends to remember the domain name www.ntlnovel.com, the first letter of literature plus org.com, ntlnovel.com, to find the way home. I finally bought soy sauce before the supermarket closed at 11. Yi Hong stood in the cold wind with soy sauce, and suddenly shot his head. Oh. Forgot to ask the beautiful penguin, even if you know a name. Yaong, Yaong, it's really a solitary life. Yi Hong sighed silently, hoping to meet again. Yehong's home is on the second floor of Yesher Snack Bar. Because of the small size of the home, when he was young, Yi Hong had to squeeze in a small room with a size of less than 10 square meters with his sister. The two bunk beds, the Yaong bunk bed, and the younger sister bunk beds. The brothers and sisters quarreled almost every day, because the sound insulation was not good, and at night they had to endure the noise made by the old husband and wife who were not innocent next door. Fortunately, the younger sister was enrolled in a junior high school under military management. In addition to winter and summer vacations, she usually lived in school, which allowed Yaong to occupy the entire room. That night, Yi Hong tossed and turned, making it difficult to fall asleep. He turned to the upper bunk for a while and smirked, and then jumped to the lower bunk to pick up the textbook and read it, listening to the system's wonderful prompt. Ding! Experience +1. The excitement of gaining the system has not slowed down even now. But at the same time he was a little confused. Why did the system choose him as an ordinary student? Forget it, no matter how much. There is a way to send the meat to the mouth. Do not eat white, do not eat. The current task is to use this sudden system to improve the lives of myself and my family. And to improve life, naturally need the eternal thing money. It must be a lot of money. To make money, it is not enough to rely on that small bowl of modified beef noodles. Yi Hong also needs to use the system to awaken more abilities and make himself stronger. Thinking of this, Yi Hong calmed down and tried to call in his mind, "System, is there a property panel? Your autistic system, even if you don't chat with me, there is always a menu function, right?" Ding! The host's current ability value list is as follows. An attribute board picture suddenly flashed in my mind. Language proficiency, 20,100, proficient level. Mathematical ability, 18,100, proficient level. English ability, 23,100, proficient level. Political. History. Before being divided into subjects, high school students should study 9 major subjects: Chinese, mathematics, English, politics, history, geography, physics, chemistry, biology, and several other small subjects. Of these 9 subjects, Yi Hong has hurriedly read through the textbooks of the first year of high school, and all of them mentioned them as proficient. He found that the ability to enter the mastery level was even slower. Just looking through the textbooks of the first year of high school seems to be not very effective. Maybe in the future, you need to find an opportunity to borrow a few books from high school to gain more experience points. In addition to these learning capabilities, there are other types of capabilities on the property board. They are proficient in cooking skills, throwing ability, and entry-level anti-strike ability and girl skills. Yi Hong leaned against the bedside, quietly thinking about how to improve these abilities. It was at this time. There was another strange sound of the squeaking of the bed board next door, which caused Yi Hong to feel upset. Troubled. He stood up, rubbing 2 of paper at will, and stuffed them directly into his ears. Ding! Exercise ear perception, listening +1, current progress 110, current level, entry level. At this time, the kind of sound that is not suitable for children, but heard more clearly. Yi Hong, I want to move. If you like to dominate the entire field of urban strengthening system, please collect www.mtlnovel.com, the fastest update of literature in the urban strengthening system. Urban Strengthening System Chapter 8, Ban Chow's Jealousy. For some reason, a large number of users suddenly cannot open the web page to visit this site today. Please book friends to remember the domain name www.mtlnovel.com, the first letter of literature plus org.com, mtlnovel.com, to find the way home. Early the next morning, Yi Hong went to class with dark circles. The students in class 18 of the first grade of high school were surprised to find that the class flower Zhang Xuewei changed his normal coldness, and came to the classroom early, holding something in his hand and looking at the entrance of the classroom with dazzling eyes. Zhang Xuewei is waiting for someone. It's impossible, Zhang Xuewei is in love. I'm going, this is too great. Who is the target? Class Grass Qin Long. Or the class leader Chen Wentao? Everyone watched Zhang Xuewei's abnormal behavior and whispered. In a position near the window, a student with yellow hair and earrings who looked very maverick looked a little ugly. I saw that the student was burly and strong, with correct facial features and a gleam in his eyes. It is the kind of saucy type most popular with girls on campus. This person is the class grass in everyone's mouth. Qin Long looked at Zhang Xuewei's anxious expression. After a long time, he didn't understand Zhang Xuewei's state. This is what the young girl Huichuan shows when she has a heart. But Qin Long also stared at this little flower, and could not help but whispered in his mouth, "Damn, if I find out who arched this little cabbage, I have to abolish him." At this moment, Yi Hong walked in from the back door of the classroom with a tired expression. Suddenly Zhang Xuewei's eyes burst out with brilliance and quickly stood up from the seat and greeted him. I was so excited that I almost gave my feet. "Ah Hong, I brought you an apple. I said online that eating an apple every day is good for the body." Zhang Xuewei spread his palms like a treasure, and a crystal clear red apple lay quietly on it. "Oh, thanks." Yi Hong received apple listlessly, threw the school bag heavily on the table, and went straight up with his eyes closed. "Ah Hong, what's wrong with you?" Zhang Xuewei sat neatly next to Yaong, his big eyes fluttering, looking at his profile with concern. Yi Hong didn't have enough energy to manage Zhang Xuewei. Yesterday's sleep quality was so bad that he just wanted to make up for it. It's strange to say that Yi Hong, who can't sleep anyway at home, hits the desk when he feels sleepy, and the effect is better than sleeping pills. No wonder people often say that school is the best place to sleep. Seeing this, Zhang Xuewei was not only lifeless, but he was light-handed, fearing that Yi Hong would be noisy. Ah Hong must have been studying hard throughout the night to make English so powerful. I must learn from him. Zhang Xuewei waved her delicate fist and quietly cheered herself on. The gossip people in the class, no matter how silly, they knew that that person, like Zhang Xuewei, was Yi Hong. Not only did the discussion not stop, but it was even more heated. Damn! A flower is inserted in the cow dung. Isn't this kid good at English? What a great thing! I tell you, I saw that they came home from school yesterday. Maybe it's... Qin Long's face was even uglier than eating shit. If it is lost to someone better than him, Qin Long may not be so angry. However, Yi Hong's appearance is ordinary, and his family background is ordinary. He only fudges a few English words that no one understands. Why can Zhang Xuewei be favored? I must grab Zhang Xuewei. Yi Hong, you wait. At this time, Yi Hong didn't know that Zhang Xuewei's infamous misfortune made him an enemy. He had already fallen asleep, and even the bell of class could not wake him up. However, the first class in the morning is the class teacher's class. If you like to dominate the entire field of urban strengthening system, please collect www.mtlnovel.com, the fastest update of literature in the urban strengthening system. Urban Strengthening System Chapter 9, Class Teacher's Lesson. For some reason, a large number of users suddenly cannot open the web page to visit this site today. Please book friends to remember the domain name www.mtlnovel.com, the first letter of literature plus org.com, mtlnovel.com, to find the way home. The class teacher of class 18, their math teacher, is an old teacher in his 50s, named Yang Daoshan. There were few white hairs on the top of the head, revealing a large bald scalp. The wrinkles on the surface are crisscrossed like a gully on the plateau. In an old pair of rimless glasses, the eyes are always squinted into a slit, and it looks listless. The methods of his lectures are as old as those of his people, and they are the same as those of decades ago. The student who listens to the class carefully will inevitably be drowsy in his class. And he realized that he would retire in a few years anyway, so he didn't have much passion. For some students' small movements, they often pretend not to see them. For example, Qin Long's comic book with yellow hair and chubby Zhou Hao. And Yi Hong who is sleeping. He just glanced at Yi Hong, and then came up with lesson plans and textbooks as if nothing had happened. Tsang Lao's peaceful tone slowly sounded, "Dear students, open page 12 of the textbook, we are learning functions today." The classroom was very quiet, only Yang Daoshan's chalk crossed the blackboard and the occasional sound of flipping books. Suddenly, halfway through the classroom remembered an outdated voice report. Yang Dao turned around in doubt, frowning and asked, "Qin Long, what's the matter?" It was Qin Long who suddenly stood up with his hand raised. At the corner of Qin Longzue's mouth, there was a wicked smile, and he pointed to Yaong in the last row. Hearing this, the people next to him could not help snickering. Qin Long has nothing to do all day and only knows the who is a girl. When would he dare to be so straightforward to say that others have affected him to learn? Besides, if people go to sleep, it's all about his farts. But no one spoke to stop, because they all heard the strong smell of gunpowder in Qin Long's mouth. This Qin Long is obviously aiming at Yaong. Otherwise, if he sleeps so much in class, why should he name Yaong? With the exception of Zhang Xuewei, everyone showed a good look. Yang Dao frowned deeply. "Zhang Xuewei, tell you to be at the same table." Zhang Xuewei looked anxiously and gently pushed Yi Hong's body. "Ah Hong, wake up soon." But Yi Hong did not respond. At this time he was immersed in the dream of the future. "Look, teacher. This kid didn't put you in your eyes." Qin Long suddenly looked angry. "He not only affected me, but also affected Xuewei's study." Suddenly heard that he was named, Zhang Xuewei looked up slightly. "No, it won't." Before her words were finished, she was interrupted by Qin Long. "Teacher, I suggest to transfer Xuewei's classmates away from Yaong." This sentence immediately revealed Qin Long's intentions, and the class immediately whispered a few wry whistles. Prior to this, Qin Long and Zhang Xuewei were privately made up of golden boys and girls in class 18 by someone who was full and had nothing to do. Now seeing Qin Long behave like this, he can't help but understand. It seems that Qin Long and Zhang Xuewei are more suitable. Nonsense, if Yi Hong could be as handsome as Qin Long, would have confessed to him. Yang Daoshan's eyebrows were deeper and he coughed heavily to stop the murmurs in the classroom. Immediately came to the Yaong table, patted the table hard. Qin Long on the side could not help revealing a tricky look. Boom boom. The huge slap sound made Yi Hong tremble and slowly opened his eyes. When he saw his class teacher in front of him, he asked, rubbing his eyes, "What's wrong? Is the teacher letting me do the question?" If you like to dominate the entire field of urban strengthening system, please collect www.mtlnovel.com, the fastest update of literature in the urban strengthening system. Urban Strengthening System Chapter 10, I Get Upset. For some reason, a large number of users suddenly cannot open the web page to visit this site today. Please book friends to remember the domain name www.mtlnovel.com, the first letter of literature plus org.com, mtlnovel.com, to find the way home. Hearing Yi Hong's words, everyone in the class looked stiff, apparently remembering Yi Hong's stunning performance in English class yesterday. No, it's impossible. His math can't be as good as English. Everyone told themselves this in their hearts. Yang Daoshan sighed inwardly. He originally thought that Yi Hong was not bad. Although the entrance test scores were a bit worse, he was not saved. Therefore, Zhang Xuewei, who had a good academic record, was arranged as his deskmate to see if he could change him. This morning I heard that he performed well in English class yesterday. I thought that the prodigal son had turned back, but I didn't expect it to be so muddy that he couldn't help the wall. Under the disappointment in his heart, Yang Daoshan's tone was also apathetic. Carefully take the class, don't let me see you sleep again. Oh. Yi Hongpa responded a bit perfunctorily. Just kidding, I have learned all the one-semester lessons. Yeah, I need to listen to your lessons. So Yang Daoshan just turned back to the podium, and did not walk a few steps. Yi Hong was afraid to lie back. Zzz. The melodious and melodic grunt sounded again in the corner. Pooh. Zhang Xuewei was a good girl since she was a child. When she saw Yi Honghong's student who didn't give the teacher a face, she felt quite funny in her heart, and one couldn't help laughing. This smile is as charming as the orchid blooming. The few male compatriots around were almost drooling. Qin Long, not far away, was so angry and jealous when he saw this scene. Why can a person who can only sleep make Zhang Xuewei smile? What does he know? If he likes a person, he will find it charming even when he sleeps. Qin Long thought more and more angry, more and more unwilling. The head was hot, rushed directly from the seat. He took a few steps to Ye Hong's side, directly carrying his collar, and picked him up from his seat. You bastard! Get out of this seat for me, did you hear that? This time it was like poke the horse's honeycomb, and the whole class boiled instantly. Good job. I've been watching Yaong this guy for a long time. Ban Chao, we support you. A group of boys clapped loudly. There are also some people who feel troubled and want to dissuade, but they are insignificant after all, and are directly overwhelmed by the sound. Qin Long. Stop it. Zhang Xuewei's face was sullen and shouted softly. But this distressed performance of Yi Hong made Qin Long even more jealous in his chest and put more effort in his hands. Qin Long, who is more than 1 meter and 8 meters away, put Yaong into the air without any effort, as simple as carrying a chick. Yi Hong was very upset. He just wanted to get a good night's sleep. But he was woken up twice and again. He is a man with serious waking up. Yaong opened his eyes and looked coldly at the face in front of him. Qin Long's face was full of madness. Yaong, starting today, recognize your status. Toad cannot afford swan meat, okay? Release. Yi Hong spoke lightly. I won't let go if I step on a horse. Yi Hong didn't speak anymore, he just watched Qin Long silently. Ding. Staring at others, momentum +1, current progress, 110, current level, entry. Momentum is coercion. People who have been in high positions for a long time do not need to speak at all. At this moment, Qin Long only felt that Yaong in front of him suddenly became tall and majestic, and the pair of deep eyes seemed to be hiding an infinite storm. This kind of high mountain feeling, he only felt in his father. Qin Long felt a shock in his heart, his hands were suddenly weak, he released Yaong, and his mouth subconsciously shouted. Dad! Everyone! If you like to dominate the entire field of urban strengthening system, please collect www.ntlnovel.com, the fastest update of literature in the urban strengthening system.